Hello and welcome. Here we are at our new time, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and with our new title, Exploring Natural Living. And we chose that, as I said, because we noticed how the energy and what we talked about in the last month or two had shifted. And we wanted to honor that and be more congruent in that context. And so, what are we going to talk about today? Natural living. And with natural living, there is still the connection to the earth in there because how does the earth function? How does nature function? And how do we function? And I remember myself saying several times during those conversations, we are living unnaturally, not according to nature. And so, what are we talking about today? And we're using an experience that I had yesterday where I read something and then noticed myself going to old reference points. And I could feel immediately how my world was going from being expanded to small. And I don't like that anymore. I can't help it. It feels yucky. And so I stayed with that and was asking the question, so what is going on here? What is this? And it took me a while to get clear that I hooked into old reference points. And those reference points ultimately were also, to some extent, that I'm the victim. Things happen to me instead of I am creating them. And boy, is that a sucker. Yeah. I mean, you go downhill pretty damn fast. And being different as a result of all my travels and things that I have been doing, not even from a cognitive perspective, oh, that may get me out of the reference points, I decided to listen to a series of lessons by Dr. Zach Bush. Mm-hmm. And he is somebody that I really appreciate, that he is looking to go beyond, to look at what are the reference points that we have and are they true or not true. Yeah. And so I listened to that, and there was one wow after another, and I could feel myself expand again and be in a totally different space. And so, how much, the question I would like to pose, how much do we hold on to old reference points? Because that is something that Zach talked about with why do people, even though we know that this thing in the body regenerates within a certain amount of time, why are they still having the same old, same old? And it is because we're holding on to this is who we are. Yeah. This is what is true. This is how my body responds. Instead of really honoring that if I'm willing to let go of all that stuff, I'm giving my body the freedom to do what it is designed to do, yeah, which is heal itself. Yeah. So are you having any comments to that, experiences you'd like to share or whatsoever? I'm passing it over to you.
Oh, Karina, there is a lot coming up around that and experience, etc. But I want to wind back a little because there was some energy that catches me, and it was, isn't that amazing? When you said watching or listening to Zach Bush and letting go of, and the space it relaxed your body, more
Mm-hmm.
space, more calm. And isn't that interesting that even when we think we are relaxed, still it's not relaxing from not really being present with all those reference points we use. And the experience I have, and not going into detail, it was quite around 5 years ago now, 5, 6 years ago. I went to a visit. Oh no, it's already more than 7 years ago. Wow, years flying by. It was a mammographic. Um, do you say it like that? Mammography?
Mammography. Yeah,
Mammo-
mammography.
Mammography. Yes, I can do it. And in my right, the breast on the right side, there was a nodule, yeah, of 2 centimeter and X, a lump they saw. So yeah, they want to try me and put me into the classic way to go with whatever they wanted to call it. So it hit me in that moment, and within an hour, 2 hours, there was something inside of me with a force saying, don't trap into it. There is something else. There is something else possible. You don't believe directly
Mm-hmm.
which direction they want to go with it. That was something really strong at the time. So I took time and space for myself to sit and be, and with questions. And even though it was not cognitive, oh, all those words
Cognitively.
today in my world to ask questions, nevertheless, that was what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to me really a guidance that led me to look into food and what are the reference points about how a body works and what it is, and some information beyond it. And it was that information beyond that relaxed me at that time, that I really went into it. I changed so many things in my diet, not from the point of view good, bad, right, wrong, but somehow from a knowing that what was coming to me of the beyonds, and it was about sugar and about cholesterol and about all those things, how it is to see as bad as good, and you have to go with this and that and that and that. And one of the highlights were the proteins, as though I never was a meat girl. I never really liked meat, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't eat so many meat. Nevertheless, there was something my body wanted to tell me about proteins. And then that scale and the fire. Today I have complications with my pronouncing. How does it get any better than this? The variety with uh, the plants, due to the plants, in which way they provide us with a type of protein, or the protein our body from nature, natural aspect of natural way
Mm-hmm.
of being is required. So yeah, I changed a lot, and within a few weeks everything was gone. When I went into
Yeah.
the hospital again to do the the exams,
Mm-hmm.
everything was gone. And it was a wow, wow, body. How magical is this?
Yeah.
Knowing, and that was a crucial choice I made, somehow crucial without being important. I know I chose to live. I chose living, not only having a life and being alive and going
Yeah.
with whatever people go, but it was a true choice for living,
Mm-hmm.
which reflected also not only in the way I ate, completely, it changed so many things. And it was about reference points, as though I became more clear and became also more louder that how much we think we require reference points. We think we need them truly to know where we are, where we go to, where we come from, as linearity, as in the linearity. And it was in
Mm-hmm.
that period also that something really came clear for me, as in my family, there are certain diseases related to the family as genetically.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them came really through me. The symptoms came into my life. But from choosing different and not aligning and agreeing as going with the reference points of that, it didn't develop as that disease.
Yeah.
And isn't that something that you mentioned also by listening to Zach Bush, that he's going beyond as, yeah, calling us on what if it is completely the opposite of what we for decades and so much more longer believe it is and what it does with us.
And it's what I really liked is he doesn't say, oh, okay, as one example, uh, mostly in this reality, we believe we need protein. And if you go out to eat or make your own meal, protein consists of meat, be
Yeah,
it beef, be it chicken, be it
yeah,
fish. That's it. But there is no other way to have protein.
yeah, correctly.
And that is not correct.
Yeah,
At the same time, he doesn't say, do not eat meat. Do, this is bad, this is wrong, this is this is that.
yeah,
Uh, it's more on educating what is. What
yeah,
shocked me, for instance, that A, we are eating way too much meat relative to what is actually healthy for us. And that research has shown that if I have a meal with meat, it takes about 14 hours to be digested. If I have just a plant based meal, it takes about 3 or 4 hours.
yeah,
So it's actually, if I look at our typical 3 meals a day, it would be, my breakfast would be digested by the time I'm eating lunch, by the time I'm eating dinner, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
versus if I have a heavy meat portion, then it may be till next morning that my body is still digesting on it. And what do I choose? Where do I want to go? And it made me really reflect on digesting. Okay, how has been my digestion? And I noticed changes in my digestion lately. And so I looked at, so, what if I've been eating differently? How have I been eating differently? And uh, for me, it is actually learning what he has to bring is a way to explore life in a different way.
Yeah.
And for me, it is interesting that I my style is I'm always up for learning something new and then trying it out and seeing how it fits for me. And I also read some of the comments, and they were, no, that you are telling us all lies. This is not true. This is proven. This is obviously wanting to hold on to
Yeah.
their point of view, their reference
Yeah.
points that
Yeah.
they have learned. And how much courage is required to be willing to let go of those reference points because we've been so entrained to them. I'm almost wanting to say indoctrinated with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm
on
with
the
you.
other hand, I remember laughing if I look over my life. There was butter. Butter is good. No, butter is bad. You should eat margarine. No, margarine is bad. You should eat butter. I
Yeah.
mean, all those flip flops about the eggs, about this, about that. And I said, what is that all about? Am I
Yeah.
willing to listen to my body that right now wants salt, wants, would like this, that, or the other, and provide that to my body versus saying, oh no, this is bad. I can't do that.
Yeah. And it is so much more freedom and relaxing. And it is weird because, yeah, people require from you that you go along with even what you're saying, the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner. If you aren't going with that, then you are wrong. You
Mm-hmm.
are doing definitely something wrong, and you are going against your health
Yeah.
because that is required. For
Grazing is not
me,
okay.
and that's not okay. So even what it is doing inside our body, as though what does sugar do when we eat it, but also what does an as healthy apple do when we eat it, or a tomato, what does it do in our body? And asking our body, I'm not sure we mentioned that before in other lives, but really uh, communicating with our bodies and asking the body what is required, then the body can let us know today or in this moment, I require this or this. And then letting go all of the reference points, as how much are the reference points already compressing and dictating what the body requires to do, as though the body loves to serve our thoughts. As though when we say, body does this, does this, does this, the body says, yes, I can. And I can that well. Go, go. What came up?
What came up for me is I've heard it being told to other parents. I experienced it as a parent that the pediatrician said, "Oh, let the children eat whatever they would like to eat because over a period of time it is balanced, even though it seems to be unbalanced in the moment."
Yeah,
On the one hand, we say this for children. On the other hand, once we are adult, we have to eat certain things, not considering that maybe over time it also balances it out, itself out. Where is that contradiction coming from?
yeah, yeah. There are a lot contradictions in the way we live and we go with health in general.
Yeah.
due to the meals we take, due to the way we move, due to our mental health, due to everything. There is a lot of contradiction, a lot of contradiction.
And who benefits from the contradiction?
Hmm, pharmacy, for example.
I mean, if we just consider it the pharmaceutical complex, because there is the pharma complex in regards to illness, but there's also the whole supplemental, et cetera, that they benefit from it,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And if we would be in touch with our own body and choose according to that, that may not benefit as much.
And something that comes up now as remember me also, and it is something I experienced, and it is true for me and my body. It can be different for someone else. It is what it is. It was something that was telling in communication with your body, go also with the local in the, the period of time of growing with the fruit or the vegetables or whatever,
Yeah,
as though eat what is growing in winter, eat it in winter, and what is in the summer, eat it in the summer. And they went further. They said also therein, are you aware of how much your body, as it is resonating with earth, that it is also resonating with the soil where you live, the area? So our bodies do not require to literally eat everything it requires, as we can also, by being present and allowing our bodies being the contributing and receiving the contribution, that is that gifting and receiving going on also with the minerals or the vitamins already in soil is available, already in the air is available, as though extremely one of Africa has a body living in Africa in communion with that soil there requires different things than someone on the North Pole.
yeah,
And as we see it now, and for Europe it is, I'm not sure how it is in America, but for Europe, there is so much food coming out of the continent, of
yeah,
other continents, as it is our regular daily regime of taking it in, something that already wasn't ready to get served from, as it is raw when they collect it, whatever it is, then I don't know what they do with it ever, but it doesn't make sense as going outside in your garden or on another place and taking an orange right from the tree as it is in time, natural,
yeah,
mature. So even that, as though, and you live also in another country as where you were born, so also that I can acknowledge and recognize that my body went different with certain, certain things that it wants to eat, as the climate is different as where I lived the first 40 and more years of my life. So there is so much more to explore and to learn as what is true natural living with our bodies. Do we really know it already? We do know it, but do we really know it? Are we willing to really live natural? As though then there is anything, isn't any longer as, oh, the family meals and all together the same thing. And, that can disappear at a time when we are willing to go with our bodies and communicating with our bodies.
If we become accustomed to, like, both of us live in the northern hemisphere, to have oranges in the winter. Uh, how much have we become accustomed to have certain things? And can we, again, without going, this is right, this is wrong, good or bad, can we acknowledge that that is not a normal meal or part of a meal in our hemisphere? And can we allow ourselves, like, just because I'm still seeing them and the price is going up and up and up, there's still raspberries. You don't harvest raspberries in the northern hemisphere anymore. That harvest is past.
Yeah.
And obviously, they come from the southern hemisphere, the early harvest from the southern hemisphere. And am I okay with allowing myself this would be really nice. So uh, I allow myself to have that once in a while. But
I'm not sure, Karina, you broke up, so
yeah,
two
we've
minutes
been
I couldn't
breaking
hear
up. We've
anything.
been breaking up. Our internet is, for some reason, really unstable today.
Perhaps we
And
are.
what is it going on that we're talking about that is not?
It is really controversial. We are knocking on the doors as though, yeah, what else is there possible? If you allow yourselves to know what you know, but also being curious, is it something that resonates? Because as there is Zach Bush and others, it's not they are telling what they know as the truth, as the new thing to go to. It isn't about that. It's allowing yourself that there are so much more ways to go
Yeah,
with something, to know what you know, to know what resonates, to recognize it. And is it also that reference points, as we started with, hold ons hold us back from going with what we know, as though it is something you pick up. Oh yeah, I know that, even if it doesn't give you a great joy, because how
yeah.
much is it
And
contracted?
as I said, are we willing to take in new information?
Yeah, but
Instead of
isn't it,
saying,
Karina,
oh
that
no,
you
I know this is how it is, this is how I learned it, therefore there is no other way.
that
And it's really that trusting. Are we willing to ask questions? Are we willing to ask, how does that land in my world?
yeah,
And yes, uh, you get scientific proof from a variety of different points of views that this is the right and correct point of view.
yeah.
Science proves this. Yeah, my knowledge is science can prove anything that it is looking for. You will find way to prove it.
And that is also that narrow science
Yeah.
is working often. Yeah,
And
Yeah, absolute.
so, are we willing to take in information that might negate our current point of view, that might negate our current reference points? And are we willing to create a new reference point?
Yeah,
And the thing is I think we have the tendency per se to use reference points, but are we using them in a fixed manner and saying, this is my reference point and therefore nothing else exists or is true, or wherever we choose to go? Or am I holding the reference point loosely and say, there is this reference point from over there, that point of view as a sudden coming in. How do those two jive? And which one lands in my world
yeah,
stronger, or in a different way, that I say, okay, I'm going to relate to this right now and let the other go. And there may be another point down the road in the future where I toss the new one that I just accepted and uh, exchange it to another one that lands in my world in a way that I respond to stronger.
yeah. And for me, I can add as reference points are reference points. And we call it old reference points or new or whatever, but reference points are reference points. And as you say, of could it be that there are billions, trillions reference points we not even are aware of yet,
Mhm.
still,
Yeah.
that they are there? Because what is a reference point? Is it only a reference point when we are aware of it, when we know it, even if it is sticking onto it as that's what I know, that's it? Or are there so many more? And for me, is because I'm always interested in, yeah, going beyond and learning new things and educate myself on several layers and several ways to go, as though for me now it is, I'm not looking for another reference points, but what is there, what are the other things, the interesting things? And then with
Mhm.
something that resonates, then I explore it,
Yeah.
not for making it my reference points, but see, oh, in this moment, this is something that works for me. And all those different ways of going is so expensive for myself, because when I'm not taking on a new reference point because it works, when I don't do that and I stay only with this is really interesting, this is working for me now, then everything keeps open. Then I can move easily the moment that it doesn't work. Because, as you mentioned, an old reference point or more will say that we are already for a long period of time going along with it. But is that something we create again when we take on a new reference point? So
That's why I
that's
said
my
hold
way
things
of
loosely.
going with it. You say?
That's why I said holding things loosely.
Loosely, and becoming aware where it is still also even deeper in a reference point. We hold it on for so many lifetimes, as and that's only how it works for me with more ease to let go of reference points, is literally setting me free of every reference point and going and searching and being curious of what else is possible, going with that and what resonates, exploring what works. Yes, I go along with that for a while. not as my new reference point, but still as an interesting journey, as
Mhm.
exploring. But that's how I choose now to go with the things. And hey, I don't know what it will be next week. It can completely different.
Yeah.
And that is something that reference points not allows to go, to move, to change as that, because they
Does it?
stick.
Does it? I mean, I'm just looking back at what happened for me yesterday. I noticed that I was stepping into an old reference point, didn't like it, and just dropped it.
That you let it go. You let it
Well,
go.
it's so for me personally, is it a reference point? Is it not a reference point? It's words. Am I willing to be in the moment with
Yeah,
what is from my perspective the key. If I notice this is not working for me, this is contracting me, this is whatever reason it's not working for me, I can just say it's as difficult as doing this.
yeah. And that is so true, Karina. When you allow yourself to be with it as it is,
Yeah.
only that it is ease. It is ease.
It
So, yeah, what is the definition of a reference point? What is the definition of an old, a new one? What if that isn't relevant?
what if we let go of all the definitions?
Yeah,
And and I am also keenly aware of that words carry an energy, and what energy is being carried. And in being aware of that, I can make my life relatively difficult by saying I can only choose the correct energetic value of a word. Or, okay, I'm using this word, I'm not defining it that way. If need be, I just let it go.
yeah. And that is also an interesting thing, as I experienced for myself due to the last years. Going with the access tools also is going with the word and asking myself, but what is it truly for me?
Yeah,
What does that word mean for me? And they're also allowing to go as what it meant a year ago, a month ago, a day ago,
mm-hmm.
now can already have changed, as it is
Yeah,
something different for me. And that is also the beauty, as energy is energy, and there is no good and no bad energy, as energy goes and moves and changes, and it is still energy. Yeah,
and the,
yeah,
and I am also aware of how much many people uh, totally dislike change, because change symbolizes a lack of control or a loss of control.
yeah,
And for them, it may be truly hard to just let go. As I said, open your hand, let go, and let it drop.
yeah,
Uh, to to do that,
yeah,
uh, and nothing is, you know, if we go from things are not right, things are not wrong, the earth doesn't look at, oh, 1,000 years ago it has been this way and I'm holding on to that. The earth looks at, oh, this is what is, okay,
yeah,
let's go with that.
yeah,
It's that flexibility, that willingness to move and be present with what is, that is so much key in nature on the earth, and that could be key for us living a natural life, our new title. And are we willing to go there?
Yeah.
And for some, it's easily possible. And for some, it may require some labor pains, let's call it that, to go through that whole change and come out the other side with
Yeah.
something new.
And one way or another, isn't it so that our bodies are going through a lot of changes? Whatever you are choosing, as
Yeah.
even letting go of reference points, even choosing to become more in communion, being more in communion with your body, to communicate, etc., etc., etc. Still, there are things happening with our bodies, and it can be painful, as whatever it wants to say, painful, but it can be really discomfortable when the change is going, as though those reference points, how are they locked up in our bodies? And then beings, we choose to let go of them, and then the body can let go of them also. And isn't that sometimes going with some kind of pain? And then also there it is, do you call it pain as reference points, or is it a discomfort as letting go instead of taking it on? As
Or have we misidentified intensity in the body as pain
also that, yeah, yeah,
and just, call it pain and are not aware of the implications of choosing a word?
yeah,
And that is, where the question is this really so?
yeah,
Is an incredibly important question.
yeah, yeah. And really, truly, is it really this going on what I define as it is going on? Yes,
Mhm.
and then questioning that, oh, yes, yes,
And trusting. I mean, I initially yesterday, when I chose to listen to that series of talks by Zach Bush, oh, I'm just sidetracking myself. Oh, the reference point. What if I just trust that and see what happens?
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's again that willingness to be fluid, to trust yourself, to trust what you are led to, that is actually a benefit.
yeah,
Not to say that I couldn't also be choosing to sidetrack myself. But then that
of
has to
course.
be my agenda, my intention, versus this feels like something to do right now that
Yeah.
can change it. And
Do
then
you know a
trusting that.
question? A, a question I that came up for me by when listening to you was: could it be that the automatic pilot is referring also to reference points?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how
It's
I.
autopilot is basically this happens. Oh, therefore I need to do because I've always
Yeah,
done that.
exactly, exactly. Hmm. Wow. How many reference points are there still to let go of? I wonder.
Just a few.
Just a few.
Can't
Just a
be too many.
no. But it doesn't require hard work or hard labor, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
When you are aware of it, you can choose different and then say, oh, bye bye, thank
Yeah.
you, not required any longer. Yes. And then comes in also for me, that is the fun. Even then, how much fun can you have by discovering all those insanities you are choosing with reference points, isn't it? Instead of knocking on our heads
You
and
mean
saying, I did it again, and blah, 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 we can, yeah, go heavy with it. And then you are going in a spiral downwards, and it is easy and quick and fast. Instead, we can choose, oh, how funny is that? That I lived for so many lifetimes with this reference, those reference points, and taking it down as it was right for me.
you mean acknowledge that we're funny creatures?
Weird, funny creatures. Yeah, and it's not done. You can't have fun with something that is
It's
considered
serious.
something bad.
Yeah.
You can't have fun. No,
It's
don't
at
do it.
least serious, and you can't have fun with serious.
Yes.
I know.
I already changed my.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karina,
Right,
again.
Jane. Thank you, Marianne. And next week we'll probably have another conversation and see where we go. What's up? So
Exactly.
food for thought. Play with it and let us know what you think. Any reactions, responses, thoughts? We appreciate to hear from you.
Even subjects, what is up in your lives that you want
Yes,
to,
that
yeah, have
that we
another
could
line
talk
on it. Yeah.
about. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let us know and we'll see where we go. Take care.
Yes.